is right here. Now basically, let me just tell you about this car. This car is tuned exactly, and as you can see, and some beautiful DRS and attention to detail here. Looks beautiful and has a beautiful spoiler. Lip spoiler.
It's not upgraded, it's stock.
It's stock. Okay.
We have just done some stickering here.
Okay,
The bumper is stock, but we've just done some stickering which really adds to the looks.
Yeah, actually, and it adds because it is same as this one.
Even this grill has been changed. The 230 comes with a chrome grill here.
Okay.
We've changed it to the 245 black grill part.
Okay. So that really adds some beautiful looks, wonka looks on this car. Let's check it out from the side. It's on the 18 inches Michelin Pilot RS. Am I right?
Pilot Sport 4.
Pilot Sports 4, which really adds up to grip or performance and everything. So let's just see how it is from the inside. No changes from the inside.
Here it is pretty stock and standard. Now let's get into the bonnet.
It's getting interesting already. So what is here on the offer?
So this is a stage 2 configuration. We have not upgraded the turbo, it's still a stock turbo. But we have upgraded all of intake piping until the turbo. So we have a Venturi red carbon fiber intake kit. We have a forged Motorsport upgraded inlet hose. So this is a silicone hose. It also gives it a heat insulation and it's bigger in size than the stock part. Then we have a 034 Motorsport turbo inlet, and then we have a Automac exhaust downpipe. Catback exhaust is stock. We have only upgraded the downpipe, and it's a catted downpipe with MagnaFlow race cat. So that also makes it kind of road legal and it passes the emission test.
So basically what I am considering here is this car is road legal.
Yes, pretty much.
Pretty much. Pretty much. That is the thing because we are talking about the tuned cars.
Yeah.
And here we don't see many of the specs, but this is the thing that excites me the most because this is red carbon fiber.
Yeah.
And this is not many of these things you see regularly. Or can you explain what actually is this?
So Venturi is a UK-based intake manufacturer. They specialized in carbon fiber intakes for various premium cars. And this specific one is a red Kevlar option which they offer. They have multiple color options for this. They have a blue, red, they have a yellow one as well. And being a red car, we chose the red one. And this specific one is one of the first kits to come in India for an Octavia RS.
What you are looking at is the first in India. So let's just talk about the many specs we are talking about and what actually adds on to the racing performance of this beautiful looking car. Let's see. As we are in here in the office of this beautiful workshop, and we are going to discuss what are the changes he made in his RS, and let's see what actually adds on to the power. So let's go serially. What have you done initially in the car?
So initially I started off with a stage 1 revamp, and now it's running a stage 2 configuration as we have shown on the car. Power wise, the car already had a lot of power from the factory, and stage 2 just makes it more lively. So with an upgraded air intake and an upgraded downpipe, we have gotten much better airflow on the turbo, and that has reduced the lag. So it starts picking up right from 1200 RPM, and it's also got some extra power. So it's made the car more lively. And about talking about individual upgrades, the intake, the carbon fiber eventually intake is it comes under cold air intake. It's picking up air directly from outside the engine compartment, and the carbon fiber gives it a pretty good insulation from the heat of the engine compartment. So whatever air is going inside the turbo and then eventually in the engine is slightly colder than what it would normally be with the stock turbo. And colder air means it's denser and more oxygen in it, so slightly better power. Eventually from their dyno testing, is claiming a 19 horsepower gain on a stage 2 car compared to a stock airbox. From that we have also upgraded the inlet holes, the turbo inlet. That also adds up to the power in the same way, more air and slightly better insulation from the engine compartment.
So that's the main specs of the engine, and today we are going to introduce a new topic where we are going to talk about the car myths. So let's just start with the first one. So first one is cold air intakes add more power. Is it true?
Yes, it's pretty much true. So basically, colder air means it's denser than hotter air which would normally go in the engine. And denser air means more oxygen, and more oxygen means you can have more fuel burning inside the engine and then get more power.
So the second one is front wheel drive is bad.
It's very situational. All the modern front wheel drives with front differentials and everything, they have amazing handling. There are a lot of good handling front wheel drive cars. The VRS for that matter, and even originally the basis of this VRS, the Golf GTI, they are all pretty good handling cars. Even the Nürburgring timings, which is a global benchmark, are faster than a lot of other rear wheel drive cars as well. So obviously, rear wheel drive also has its own drama and its own benefits, but that doesn't mean front wheel drive is good.
So basically the drama is the wheel spins, which are actually never ending. So moving on to the next question, police cars are fast. I can answer this no because we have so many tuned cars. They are not fast enough. They use Ertiga, which is actually designed to be a family car.
In India, yeah, I mean, if you bring in the topic of Ertigas, then they wouldn't be able to catch up with these. But those Ertigas have some amazing cameras. So if the car can't catch you, the cameras can catch you.
Actually.
So yeah, be aware.
So that is the most lethal weapon they have.
Yeah.
And afterwards you have to pay everything, and you will be taken revenge and everything with that. So talking about the police cars in Dubai,
Yeah, I mean,
Nobody
abroad,
can ride that.
a lot of countries do have fast cars.
actually.
And that's a situational thing again. Even if they have a few fast cars, it's not like the whole fleet is going to be like that. But again, even they have a lot of good cameras and good technologies to still catch you somehow.
But do you think that if police cars are tuned, then it will be a better option anyhow?
See, I feel unnecessarily chasing each and every person is not feasible for them, and it doesn't make sense for them. And as long as they got the right evidence, they can still keep looking for people and keep catching people wherever it's done. If it's a big crime, then yes, obviously they need fast cars and they use them. But someone drives past them at a higher speed, as long as they got it on the camera, as long as they have the proof, I think they can still catch that person some other time.
Actually. So there is another question, that is no replacement for displacement. I'm really sorry for that. No replacement for displacement.
Yes, I mean, it's a big topic of debate. Obviously, having bigger displacement will mean you always have that power available. Let's compare a V8 engine, a 4-liter V8 or a 2-liter turbo. When you max them out, maybe a 2-liter turbo will make as much power as a 4-liter V8, which is naturally aspirated. But that power will always be at the peak. If you compare them side by side, you do a drag race, then maybe they will be equal, or maybe the 2-liter will be faster as well. But being a turbocharged car, it will have a lag, the 2-liter car. And that will, the overall experience of the 4-liter car will any day be better than a 2-liter with a turbo.
Anytime. So bigger is safer means this actually refers to the image, this thing, because people do think that Fortuner are safer than having a normal sedan car. That is not actually the truth, but we will like to have your opinion of that.
So
Because
let's start with this picture in question itself. It is showing a big American truck going through a crash test.
Yeah.
And you can already see that the truck has not done very good in that crash test. So bigger is safer. On a small scratch you have somewhere in a traffic jam or something, maybe they're being much higher than rest of the people, and that way you do tend to get away. But the crash test itself show you crash into the same obstacle in a big truck, or you crash into the same obstacle in a small hatchback. If the hatchback is well made, it all depends on how that specific car performed in the crash test rather than the size of the car. Even the the Smart Fortwo, which is a tiny car, and there are a lot of jokes on the internet about how unsafe or how bad that car will be. But just look at its crash test. It's actually better than a lot of other bigger cars as well.
Actually, talking about the small cars, Nano has also done some good performance.
Yeah, Nano has also done pretty good performance in the crash test compared to a lot of bigger cars again.
Actually, and on the other hand, some Toyota cars also don't get 5 out of 5 in the crash test.
Yeah, so it's very situational. It's not about the size, it's about how well the body shell is engineered.
So technology will save you from bad driving, which refers to the Tesla, I believe, in today's day.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of enthusiasts are against technology. They don't like ABS or traction control, so these kind of things interfering with your driving. But having driven race cars with these technologies, without these technologies, I never felt that these technologies are interfering. Just talking about a simple thing as an ABS, if you use it just the way you use the normal non-ABS cars, you will not like it. But if you focus on what the ABS is doing and adapt your driving to make the best use of that ABS, these technologies are amazing. Like, I'm a pro for all the modern technologies and modern safety devices also that come in the car. And saving you from bad driving, yes, I mean, if you do something which will even, no matter what you do, leading to an accident, like even autonomous driving Teslas crash every day. Yeah. Although people are instructed not to leave the wheel while the car is on autopilot mode, people still do it and they still tend to crash. So there is no solution for stupidity. But there are a lot of other situations also where Tesla Autonomous is saved from multiple crashes, where a person wouldn't have seen an obstacle coming in.
So many of the YouTubers also do that test, that they actually doze off when they are driving a Tesla. Because it's an autopilot, that makes no sense.
I wouldn't support that, because Tesla themselves are clearly stating that you need to be attentive. It's just an assist technology, it's not a full replacement for the driver. But these assists, if used as an assist, are really good.
The next myth is muscle cars can't corner, which is related to the traction, I believe.
Yeah. This is again situational. It depends on the way the car is set. There are a lot of, like the picture you're showing me right now, it's a very well done Mustang. If you put the right parts, right suspension components in a Mustang, even that will handle well.
But you have to make that changes.
The thing is, America as a market, they have long, big freeways. So their cars are designed such that they work well on those roads. Whereas we are familiar with European or Asian cars, which Europe has a lot of varying terrain. Asian countries have a lot of varying terrain. So market-wise, the cars are set up. We just change the setup of an American car to work well on a European market. You make those changes to the car, put the right suspension. Even those cars will handle well.
So you have to make changes according to the situation.
There was a point in history where the Ford GT40, which was an American car, did really well in the Le Mans races, because obviously they were made for that.
So another myth is supercars are the fastest car available.
It's again situational, because it comes down to whether you're looking for straight line, whether you're looking for corners, whether you're looking for a specific track. drag spec car. From all perspective, these cars are pretty fast, but it all comes down to situational what kind of fast you are targeting at.
So moving on, all SUVs are good off-roaders. Actually, this is not actually.
Again, situational. A lot of SUVs, what we are seeing in the market today, in India especially, there are many front-wheel drive SUVs. And there are
Front-wheel drives are not that good at off-roading.
It depends on what kind of off-roading.
It's
If
like
you have,
stiff
if
wheel.
you want to climb uphill, then you need all-wheel drive to get the maximum grip out of all the wheels. If it's a plain climb, even a four-wheel drive sedan will do the same thing. If there are, if you need ground clearance, it all comes down to whether you need ground clearance for your off-roading or you need traction from all. It's just a matter of ground clearance and not traction, then even a front-wheel drive tall car can move to that level.
So moving on, tune-ups are necessary.
The definition of tune-up is very vague across the market. A lot of showrooms, service centers call it tune-up. It's just a basic reset of adaptation. What we call tune-up is a remap. So the servicing and a reset of adaptation at every service obviously helps in bringing the car back to its optimal performance. That's what the normal or the workshop definition of tune-up is. And what we do under tuning or remap, it's not a compulsory thing, but all the cars from the factory are restricted due to some or the other reason. Sometimes it is to have an option to sell a more powerful variant later on from the same car. Like the Laura diesel, it used to come with a 110 horsepower variant and a 140 horsepower. Both the engines were mechanically identical. The only difference from the factory was they were running a different software. So by getting that extra 30 horsepower out of the engine, you are not going against anything. It's just they have restricted it from the factory with your DJ. Otherwise, some other reasons are emission tests and local regulations.
So do you actually think that BS6 norm is the reason that we are getting so lousy cars, if we can say?
BS6 has made the exhaust more restrictive now. We have petrol particulate filters on a lot of new cars. We have diesel particulate filters have become pretty much standard on all diesel cars being sold. So they have made it a little restrictive. But there are other technologies to cover up for that. So if you look at the numbers, none of the cars have really gotten down on horsepower from the previous version. The horsepower number is still increasing at the same rate. These restrictions do make the throttle response a little weak, but you can always cover that up with the remap while still keeping the same components, still keeping the same exhaust or emissions.
What actually annoys me is the soft limiter. Like I want to hear the rev and it is like makes no sense.
That sound, if you are a fan of sound, then yeah, current restrictions don't really allow for much.
Actually, so moving on, oil changes every 300,000 miles, which is actually 4,828 kilometers.
No, not really. So a lot of cars, modern cars especially, they're using long life synthetic oil. Let's take VW Group for example. All the VW Group cars in India have a service schedule of 15,000 kilometers or 1 year, whichever is earlier. And the same cars in European conditions have a service schedule of 30,000 kilometers or 2 years, whichever is earlier. So this is a very old point. In today's date, a lot of cars are exceeding way beyond that.
So does oil changes are necessary or they vary because of the road conditions?
It's not the road conditions, so it also depends on the fuel conditions. The reason why Europe has much longer service intervals is because their engine oils, so the grade of oil used by VW in India and Europe is also slightly different for the same car. What they use there is less protective than what we use here for the engine. But the reason for that less protective oil also working for longer duration in the service schedule is because the fuel going inside the car over there is quality of fuel that should be there and should not have any contamination, should not have any the quantity of sulfur and everything also varies. So the fuel that complies with their regulations is less damaging to the engine. That's why they can run a thinner and less protective oil for a longer duration. Whereas in India also now BS6 fuel is much better, and some manufacturers are actually moving to the longer service schedules which the European market cars are using right now.
So another myth is automatics suck, but actually this is a huge debatable concept because automatics in many of the higher end vehicles you can actually keep up with the shifts at initial gears. Afterwards, actually, yeah, it is good, but
So it's totally a myth because all the modern day automatics, you think of the ZF 8-speed transmission system in BMW, Jaguars and some of the Audis. And in comparison to that, we have the dual clutch transmission. The DSG is literally the vehicle for this. And both these transmissions are just better than a manual in every way. You have much faster acceleration, you have much better fuel economy from both the gearboxes compared to their manual counterparts. It's just better in every way.
so that's it for today. We have asked him many questions than we should have because we have taken his long of the time. But these are the questions we actually have to clear up because these are the myths that are eating our car industry because you get fooled by the people
Yeah.
and they will charge you a lot of money for that. And by watching this video, we are actually spreading an awareness. And at the same time, if you want to get your car's tuned, link in description. I will add your Instagram link in description. Then you can directly contact him for your tune-ups, your remaps, and everything. They actually
Even
do
day-to-day maintenance we do for most
day-to-day maps. And actually, he also designs his own maps, so you can have a custom remap for that, and you can have fun, whatever fun you are having in your cars. So let's enjoy the car and hear some cinematics for that. So guys, we actually literally missed this point. This car also has one subwoofer, which actually adds on to the thing because Skodas get really great. Can you hold that, please? Skodas do get a really good set of speakers, but we had also seen some changes in the audio of this car. So, what are the changes actually you made in this car?
So
For audio.
we have not touched the door speakers. All this is stock. All that we have done we have added a small 5-channel speaker amplifier. It's a very tiny amplifier but a very powerful model. I wanted to place it conveniently below the seat without changing any other visuals in the car. This amplifier is connected via a T-harness, so we have not cut or touched the original harness of the car. Everything is still original. And this is amplifying the stock speakers on the door, as well as this is powering the subwoofer in the boot, the same amplifier. So this way we have been able to get a good crossover setup and also fine-tune these same stock speakers to make them sound better than what they did originally. And we have got a subwoofer as well now.
So as one amplifier is doing so much of load, so is there any load on this speaker set?
Not really. The thing is that normally an amplifier with this much power would be double the size of this. But I've tried to find the smallest amplifier with this much power. So the only thing that drawback was this is a very costly unit. The same power I would have gotten in less than 1/3 of the price of what I've spent on this. But I wanted a well integrated setup. I did not want amplifiers stuck on the back seat or that kind of a setup. So that's why I've done everything in this one box.
So can we say this VRS is one of one in India?
Well, every VRS owner has done some of their own unique mods and their own unique ideas. So obviously you can call it one of one. What I have done is a little unique, but best VRS or that sort of stuff, I wouldn't say that because everyone has done what they require. I wanted a very oily looking setup. I did not want things hanging out.
Yeah.
Amplifiers stuck on the back seat, amplifiers and like excess wiring visible and everything. So I've tried to keep it as original and OEM as possible.
Okay.
That's why it's a little different from what is normally done for the
So
audio.
normally it also supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto.
That comes stock. We have not touched anything on the main head unit. Everything there is stock. The only thing we have done is got an amplifier under the seat.
Okay. So can we listen to the audio right away?
Have some amazing songs.
Okay, it's giving a good effect. Everything is balanced here.
It's a very balanced setup. It's not too bass heavy or it's not too vocal heavy.
Yeah. As the things should be. Really balanced, really balanced. So many of the time we see that many of the tuners do that many of the huge speakers they put on and everything, every wire is hanging out of the car.
Yeah.
And this really feels balanced in that way. And
I'm not a very bass heavy kind of a person that I just want bass. I want balanced sound.
okay.
The stock speakers were pretty good, but having a dedicated subwoofer and getting the low frequencies out of these speakers. So dedicated subwoofer is doing its own job.
Yeah.
And getting the bass frequencies out of these speakers means these get free enough to focus on other frequencies. So the sound clarity is better than what it was in the stock because the load has been taken out of these speakers. These have been amplified.
Amplified, yeah.
And I've tried to keep it as balanced as possible, as natural as possible.
Actually.
And in this song you must have experienced all the frequencies and the whole
Exactly, everything is balanced, all four of the sides, and the woofer is also giving its own vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is not like it is trying to throw bass at you, but it is trying to.
The bass comes only when it is needed. Exactly at the
Exactly
right
at
point.
the right
It's
point.
a very strong bass at that point.
Okay, so that is actually good because not everybody loves huge bass,
Yeah.
but this sound system is compatible with everybody,
Like every song.
every song and every
Yeah, it's
vibe.
balanced. Obviously, some different. I've adjusted the equalizer and everything according to EDM, which I mainly listen to.
Okay,
For a rock setup, I'll have to just do some minor tweaks in the equalizer, and it will be fine.
it will be fine.
Yeah.
So that is also a surprising element in this car because we weren't expecting this car to be this great, and it turned out. Actually, it was planned to be great, but actually this actually surprises us that this car is doing so many things that most of the cars can't on this road or at this platform. So thank you for having us at your workshop and showing us this beautiful car. And let's see another video we are planning, so we also will talk about that also, and everything will be happening really soon. So stay tuned, stay subscribed, and link in description of this beautiful workshop where you can change your car into a monster or something you can call a practical daily car actually. So it is, they have best of the both worlds. So let's see. Just call them, just text him. You can get everything you would like. Thank you.
They took my money.
Let's get money, motherfucker. Get money. Get money, motherfucker. Get money. Let's get money, motherfucker. Get money.